Hello and welcome to my presentation on Highway 18 from We Are Only Taking What We Need. My name is Shannon Torelli and I'm doing this for English 2330 with Professor R. Dale McCarver. Highway 18 has some significance to the story. It is the title of the story, and Highway 18 symbolizes an escape from the small town of Carrboro, North Carolina, for many of the characters in this story, mainly the narrator, but also some other characters. Setting: This story takes place in Carrboro, North Carolina. The story hints at some things that were popular in the 1980s, but we cannot be sure exactly what time the story takes place. Characters. Our first character is the narrator. She is not named, and from what we can assume, she is a woman, or a girl, and she is a Jehovah's Witness. Maggie. She is not involved in the story, but she is mentioned in the beginning as the narrator's best friend, or very good friend. Matt and Tim are the narrator's co-workers at the restaurant where she works. Shelby is a beautiful girl who comes into the restaurant. She's rumored around town, and she's very mysterious. Linda is a Jehovah's Witness and a friend of the narrator. And Sarah Donna is Linda's friend. The genre of this story is literary fiction. It could be autobiographical, but there's no way to tell for sure unless you talk to the author. The perspective is first-person perspective from the unnamed narrator. The protagonist in this story is the narrator, and the antagonist could be one or two people. It could be Linda, and it could be Sarah Donna. Plot. The narrator and Maggie are very good friends, but Maggie has left for college, leaving the narrator without friends or support. It says in the beginning that the narrator and Maggie are very good friends, but Maggie is given the opportunity to go to college and leave this small town, leaving the narrator with no real friends or support at home. She's kind of just by herself. They are both Jehovah's Witnesses. The narrator is working in Holly Acres Fried Chicken restaurant with her co-workers Matt and Tim. Shelby comes into the restaurant. She starts to conversate with the narrator while she orders food and her co-workers, and we learn that the narrator knows a lot about Shelby even though they have never met. She's rumored to be a working girl who is sought after by many boys in town. The narrator knows that at nightclubs, the boys in her town try to pick up Shelby, but nobody is successful, and she also says that nothing Shelby does or says can be trusted. The narrator and Shelby have a conversation about school, work, and future plans. Shelby says she's going to leave town, possibly to Florida. The narrator wishes she could leave and do the normal things her peers do, but she can't because she is Jehovah's Witness. So she feels very tied down because of her religion. She can't do many of the things that other kids her age can do. In this quote, she says, "What was I thinking? The restaurant was a fishbowl full to floor-to-ceiling windows. Just beyond the parking lot, Highway 18 looked like a runway, a straight shot launching me anywhere, or so I thought, until my eyes settled on the across-the-street hamburger joint and throngs of my classmates in bunches spilling out of cars like adolescent clowns, making me forget that I was in the middle of my life, in the eye of it, and forcing me to see myself from the outside." Next, the narrator has a strange interaction with a man and a woman and their toddler who come into the restaurant. The man and the woman are obviously not great parents, and they force their toddler to give the narrator a kiss on the cheek, which we can tell from the book makes the narrator a bit uncomfortable. The narrator tells Shelby she hates this town, but knows it's unrealistic to think of leaving, because of her religion once again. Some time passes, and the narrator explains the time she hears of Shelby again. So Shelby leaves the restaurant, and assumedly it's a couple of months before she hears of Shelby again. And in this, the narrator describes the home that she lives in with her mother and siblings. Linda picks up the narrator to go to Sarah Donna's house. Linda is a rich white woman who tries to emulate the soul sister style and is also a Jehovah's Witness. The narrator is intrigued by Linda and wants to impress her. She thinks she's a really good mom, and she likes that she is okay with just being herself. Linda, the narrator, and Sarah Donna talk about Shelby, and Sarah Donna says Shelby has gotten the AIDS. And this is the first time that the narrator hears of Shelby since the last time she saw her in the restaurant. She says, "For months I'd wanted someone to say Shelby's name out loud, to hear the sound of it, hear about her, to feel the relief from the necessity, the load of having her on my mind." So the narrator often thinks about Shelby. Like I said in the beginning, she very much admires Shelby and wishes to be friends with her. "They called her a whore," I said. "That's not what I wanted to say, but killing Shelby made me strong." So in the conversation between Linda, the narrator, and Sarah Donna, the narrator throws out some digs at Shelby. She says she doesn't know why she does it, but obviously in this quote she says, "Killing Shelby made me strong." So she wants to appear strong and steady in her faith in front of these two women who are also a part of the Jehovah's Witness religion. Linda, the narrator, and Sarah Donna go back and forth on the topic of Shelby. The narrator decides she wouldn't be friends with Linda anymore or ever. She decided that she didn't want to be like Linda anymore. She wanted to be her true self and not bound so much by the restrictions of religion. The narrator says she thought about Shelby often after that conversation, but feels ashamed and embarrassed that Shelby is so important to her. So at the end of the book, she really wishes that Shelby had stayed so that she could have been friends with her. She could see that they would have had slumber parties, painted nails together, and it would have been a great friendship. But Shelby got out of town. No one really knows what happened to her, but she has left, whether she got the AIDS or not. And the narrator kind of wishes she was in that same place, but now she's back where she started, with no friends, no support, and sticking to the guidelines of religion she might not necessarily agree with. The theme of this story is struggling with religion and finding your own identity. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for watching.